Hello everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we are back again. And this time we're going to focus on Supergirl, which recently reached its 100th episode. So we're just going to quickly review over the episode and the fact that Supergirl has managed to reach 100 episodes, which I think is a good landmark for any show to reach 100 episodes, consistently be on air or be on broadcast. I think it's good for any show, regardless of what you think, whether you like it or you don't, to have that sort of consistency and strength to last so long. I think deserves merit. So we're just going to go over this episode quickly. The title was called It's a Super Life, and where we picked up on the previous episode was Mr. Mxyzptlk, who's kind of like the fifth dimensional being. He has all these powers to affect time and events. He comes back and visits Kara, and essentially he needs to now atone for all the people that he's wronged in the past, and Kara was being one of them. So he gives Kara the opportunity to go back in time and revisit events and kind of make any corrections for mistakes that she's made in the past. So the running theme for this fifth season, one that I've never agreed with and I think has caused one of many issues with this current season, has been Kara's relationship with Lena, and the fact that at the end of season 4 Lex had revealed to Lena, that Kara's identity, that she was Supergirl. So they've been dealing with the fallout of that in the 5th season. When it was found out, Lena has kind of been on this whole dark phase of wanting to punish Kara. She feels betrayed for Kara not telling her, and she's gone off on this whole outlandish plan to try and control the minds of people, because she wants to rebuild the world and make it better, because she feels that humans have been betrayed too much. And it's really kind of undercut Lena as a character. It's really been something that goes against her character. Lena has always been this very resourceful, very smart, very intelligent character. Now, the issue that I think fans always had was that Lena, because she was so intelligent, why couldn't she ever figure out who Kara was? Cat Grant did. I think it was near the end of season 2, I believe, she figured out. She doesn't tell Kara, but she kind of says to herself, yes, you're Supergirl. So if Cat Grant has the insight to do it, why can't Lena? We've seen in various episodes, particularly in season 3, there was one where they were battling Reign in the prison, and the Legion of Superheroes were involved. You had the Legion of Superheroes ship, and Lena was able to go into the ship and within 1 or 2 minutes figure out all the controls. So you're kind of thinking she's dealing with kind of future alien tech here. So if she's got the resourcefulness to kind of figure all that technology out, having only just come across it, then surely she should be smart enough to figure out Kara's identity. So a lot of fans were kind of piping up in chat forums about this issue, and I think the writers gave in. They kind of succumbed to this fact, and they had Lena find out Kara's identity, and now we've been dealing with the fallout. Now, I've always felt that this really could have been done in kind of a 2-episode arc. Fair enough, Lena feels betrayed by Kara, so we have this kind of back and forth between the two characters alone, okay? And if we'd have kept it to that kind of dynamic, that would have made sense. But they've kind of had Lena go off on this whole villainous dark direction, and again, I don't believe in that. It undercuts the credibility of Lena. She's been a very popular character because she's at many times she had a different viewpoint or a different approach to sometimes Supergirl or the DEO on how to combat certain threats or certain villains. But on sometimes Lena might have a point. Lena might have the right approach or a better approach than what the DEO has. And Lena has enough standing, being the CEO of the company, that she has enough standing and enough resources to sometimes challenge the DEO. And that's what makes Lena so great as a character, is that she's been somebody who wants to come out of the shadow of the whole Luthor name and the reputation that brings. And she does want to have friends. She does want to fight for good. She does want to be with Kara and Alex and kind of be amongst, the DEO and Supergirl working to fight for a better place. She wants to better herself, and that's what's made her such a rootable character. So to have her go off on this whole villainous take, I've never agreed with, and the concept of this whole episode was how could Kara go back at certain points in time and tell Lena her secret, and hopefully it would amend their friendship or make it a better world where Supergirl and Lena can kind of be friends and work together to fight against threats going forward. And each alternative each alternative outcome that they were exploring, where Kara was telling Lena about her identity, there would always be something wrong. Initially something would go right, and then we would get some sort of bad event or bad turn of events, which means that Kara would have to go further back in time, tell Lena at this point, tell Lena at that point. We had various references and callbacks, primarily to season 3, when they were battling Rain at the time, and we were following again the outcome of what Supergirl would have to go through when she revealed her secret to Lena. We had a further instance when she went back to when she first met Lena, and she told Lena her secret then, and even then it didn't work out. We had instances where Lena would get kidnapped or Kara would end up being killed. We would have Agent Lockwood coming back wanting to attain Supergirl's secret. So there was all these different outcomes basically where it didn't work out, which I think again was frustrating, because me personally, I want this whole Supergirl against Lena, Dark Lena, Villainous Lena, I just want it to be done now. I just think again it's one of those arcs like the Leviathan arc that just hasn't worked. It hasn't worked throughout the season, and I think they've missed an opportunity following the crisis when they could have essentially reset these events and started off kind of like a Supergirl 5 season 5B, right? And we could have just started again with fresh storylines and fresh takes going forward for the season. But they've retained these story arcs. They've retained the Leviathan arc. And again, having Lex now at the forefront as kind of the linchpin of all events and all people going around, I don't think it's helped it. Even though I like John Cryer as Lex, he's a good Lex Luthor. I was skeptical when they cast him, but he's done really well in the role. But I think having him at the forefront has really taken away a lot of Lena's presence and a lot of her role. She's kind of now become this peripheral character now. Okay, you've got this sense of betrayal against Kara, and you're trying to do your own project to save the world, but it kind of doesn't matter now because we're focusing more on Lex and the Leviathan. So I don't think they've handled this really well, and this episode had an opportunity to reset it again. It didn't. I think I can understand why, because if you kind of have Kara tell Lena her identity, you're kind of resetting events, and even though we're in a kind of Earth Prime now following the crisis, you're still having to deal with retconning or rebooting certain events within this timeline, so it caused a lot of complications storytelling wise. So that's why I think they kind of kept to this narrative that whatever way or whatever stage that Kara told Lena about her secret, it was always going to have negative consequences. And one theme I suppose was good, that it got Kara to realise that sometimes no matter how hard you try to fix things or solve things, there's always going to be ramifications. There's always going to be bad events, bad consequences, and you have to deal with them. No matter what you do, you have to try and deal with them and go forward. So there was a good scene at the end where basically Kara visits Lena and she says, look, at the end of the day, I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. You can forgive me or you can choose not to forgive me, but I'm going to stop feeling guilty about it now. I'm going to stop tearing myself over it now. If you want to come and join us again, great, but if you don't want to, then I'm going to treat you as any villain that I come across in the future. If you're going to continue to keep working with Lex, doing whatever plan you're going to, I'm going to go and stop you. So that was a good actually progression for the character, because it did get repetitive. Kara constantly at odds with herself, feeling guilty for not telling Lena. Again, if Lena was to be really rational about it, she would accept it, because the whole mantra with the superheroes is that they keep their identity from certain people to protect them. Okay, and there have been multiple instances throughout this whole series where Kara has saved Lena's lives multiple times. She's saved the world multiple times. So you'd like to think that Lena would eventually come to this realization that, okay, she kept this secret from me, but the amount of good things she does kind of should balance that out. and she should really come to forgive her in the end, because like I said, it undercuts Lena's character as a whole. So those are my thoughts on the episode. Not a bad episode. Some of the action sequences rather, were a bit rushed. I think they were a bit out of place. I think they were put in there just solely because it was the 100th episode and they wanted it to be, or have a certain amount of spectacle and action in it. The effects look very good, but again, I just felt the action sequences themselves just didn't fit in with the current story as such as what we were trying to tell. And they didn't really have that much consequence, because the main arc of the episode was Kara exploring different timelines in which she can try and rebuild her friendship with Lena. That was the overall arc. So the fight sequences themselves, where you've got all the characters, you've got John and Alex and Brainy, you had the Dark Brainiac, and you had Maya in there as well. They just felt kind of a bit throwaway, a bit superfluous to the plot on there. So this was a decent episode itself. So again, going forward on the season overall, as I've stated before, there have been issues with practically all of the story arcs this season. None of them have really worked, and I think again they just missed an opportunity to reset it. On the series itself, I think prior to this season, Supergirl has been consistently strong, a very well developed superhero series. Season 1 or 2 had stand-up moments, stand-up episodes, but they were just kind of building. There was nothing special in them. Again, they were kind of building off this whole, was it going to be this kind of more soap opera superhero show? Were we going to get a lot of feminist agendas? And I don't think it's as agenda driven as what people make it out to be. I think the most agenda driven season was maybe season 2, when we had the whole alien immigration arc, and then we had the whole relationship between Alex and Maggie. So if you want to throw any accusations of agendas being pushed there, it's probably more season 2. I mean, season 3, not really. There was the gun crime episode, I think, later on in season 3. But apart from that, there has really been no agenda driven. Supergirl has been focused on strong storytelling and strong characterization, particularly in season 3, which I think was the peak of the show. We had Rain, which was one of the best villains of the show, and not only that, one of the best villains of the entire CW verse or Arrowverse, if you want to call it that. Season 3, that was the real kind of well developed, really well measured story arcs within Supergirl. And Rain herself was so well progressed as a villain. She didn't start off in actual form to begin with. We had time to spend with Sam and her relationship with her daughter, how the kind of inner force of Rain was taking over Sam. We got to see Sam integrate with the other characters, and we built the villain throughout. And that's how I think these CW shows should approach their villain. You know, they've had the standard accusation of being villain of the week, freak of the week, and this third season of Supergirl really did brilliantly develop Rain as a villain. We had that fantastic episode, the mid-season episode, which I think might be the best of the series, the fight between Supergirl and Rain. That was outstanding. That was, like, for me, cinematic quality, you know, outstanding battle between her and Rain. They pushed that through. Season 3 only really fell, I think, towards the latter stages, where we had the whole witches getting involved and it was a bit rushed near the end. But overall, season 3 was a high watermark for the series. Season 4 was very strong, not quite as strong as season 3, but again, we had really well developed villains in Agent Lockwood and Manchester Black. They really hit their stride, particularly Agent Lockwood, because we were dealing with a non-super powered villain, and he had influences both as a media figure and then working behind the scenes with the agents of Lockwood. Manchester Black as well had very good motivations, because his wife, I believe, was killed by the aliens or the metas or the threats at the time, so he had his own motivations going forward. So season 4 brought Lex and the whole Red Daughter storyline, which was very good. I wish they expanded on that a bit more. So up to season 4, I actually, which is very going to be in much of the minority, I actually had Supergirl as the best CW show airing, and also one of the best superhero shows like being broadcast at all. I know it's going to be very unpopular, but I actually thought it was that strong a series. But I just think this season the storylines they've pushed just haven't worked. Nothing wrong with the action or the effects or the actors themselves. Nothing wrong with their performances themselves. I just think the story arcs, everything from the Dark Lena to the Leviathan to the John Jones, his brother, to the whole Brainiac working undercover with Lex, the strains between Brainy and Maya's relationship, none of it is really convinced. None of it is really kind of strung, really a strong reaction from me. It hasn't rung true and hasn't been as well as developed as the story arcs that we got in previous season 3 and season 4. Can they turn it around? Hopefully they can do. You know, a lot of great shows have downturns or bad seasons. You know, some of my favourite shows, you know, Sopranos, Smallville, Boardwalk Empire, they all had bad seasons or rough seasons. So I think this is the first rough season of Supergirl that it's had so far. It could turn it around later on in the season, but we will wait and see. But I just really want to comment on the success of reaching 100 episodes. To be honest with you, when Supergirl first aired, if you remember, it was on the CBS network. I didn't believe it would reach 100 episodes. I was maybe banking on maybe seasons 3 it would get to before getting cancelled. But I think it's done a really good, strong achievement. And I think we all love Melissa Benoist as Cara Danvers. I think she's this great kind of rootable, very positive character. She shares a lot of those Superman or Supergirl-esque qualities we want in a character as averse to what we got with the DCU. You know, Alex Danvers, John Jones, you know, Charlie Lee and David Hayward, they're very strong performances. Brainiac I really like really well. I like the DEO storyline as such. They've broken away from that now because Alex has kind of resigned now as DEO leader and she's drawn John Jones, and they're going to be more individual, kind of looking into the cases themselves. So it's been a very good, strong, very bright, exciting, intelligent superhero series. I just think this 5th season hasn't been up to par with previous seasons, and who knows, if they don't match it throughout this year, maybe they can develop it more in season 6, which has already been renewed for. So 6 seasons of Supergirl, again, I think is a very good achievement in itself. So those are my thoughts on this 100th episode and the season overall. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? Are you happy with season 5 so far, or were you like me? Do you feel it's been a major step down from the quality that we saw in both season 3 and season 4? Are you excited for the rest of the season, or do you think this is kind of just the first kind of really rough season of the show, and that we should just wait and see what they do with season 6? So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will provide more reviews, particularly of any episode standouts, and when we get to the finale as well. So those are my thoughts on Supergirl's 100th episode. Take care of yourselves for now, and I will see you very soon.